When did you first hit 40 lakhs?
2020, I started the agency. First year itself, we made enough for me to pay myself 40 lakhs.
Early 2023, when I moved to Dubai to a job as a performance marketing head during the D2C brand.
I first hit 40 lakhs when I was working with a few US clients and built an agency business for Avron Labs, and I was able to take 40 lakhs out of the business.
I hit it first in 2020 when I was working with a Canadian client and they paid me about $5,000 a month.
Why do marketers generally make lower salaries than developers? And does this gap continue throughout their career, or does it get even at some point of time? What do you think?
The reason why marketers get paid less, or more so, let's look at it from the perspective that engineers get paid more. In engineering versus a marketer, I've seen it last for a very long time. In fact, for so long that it can demotivate you as a marketer, right? And you would quit that and to go on to do other things. And when I say quit as a marketer, it could be other business roles, right? Not particularly more to tech.
Supply chain,
could
whatever.
Be, or could be anything, right? Because the executional skills gets heavily leveraged as an engineer very early on. As a marketer, the executional skills does not get very leveraged until you are 2 years, 3 years, because you have to learn the skill. An engineer back in college, they can open their laptop and they're still coding. As a marketer, you're doing nothing in your second year, third year, fourth year. So I think the leverage comes in pretty early as an engineer. So instead of looking at an engineer and a marketer saying that, hey, both graduated from the same college and there's a pay discrepancy, you have to go a little behind and see what happened behind the scene. Right? Because and I've seen an engineer who graduated, knows nothing, probably joined a Sapient or a TCS. Marketers are paid better than the person who joined TCS. So on an average, I think, yes, because the engineers, they have an early leverage. That's why they get paid more. Plus, the engineering roles are way more defined. It's way more easy to train somebody, give instructions to somebody that what needs to be done.
Both of you said there's a lot of ambiguity in marketing. You have to solve for that ambiguity. The time when you're able to solve that ambiguity repeatably, you're already 5-6 years into your career, because it needs insight. It needs knowledge of certain tools. It could be ads, it could be content, it could be making content work on YouTube versus Google search versus wherever else. So it takes time. The third thing is, I don't think marketers can earn big paychecks unless they are guaranteeing a certain revenue or managing a certain team or managing a certain charter. What by charter, I mean marketing also has, different functions. Either you could be a creative director, managing everything creative. When I say that you need to manage a team and you need to manage a charter, you need to lead something, how many leaders do you even see at the top of any company? So the people who make these kind of amounts are very few. The other people have churned out of the roles or they've gotten plateaued at a... Whereas with engineering, most of the engineers making these kind of amounts earlier in their careers are not engineering managers. Engineers themselves who are coding
for
every day.
execution, they get paid that much. They don't get paid that much. When they start managing, they get paid management salaries plus execution salaries.
Right.
I think if you're learning, developing, or if you're doing an engineering course, throughout the college, build a company, you have a fixed tangible thing that you can show in a week or so.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What Shashank said, you can build proof of work before you get there.
If you go from an MBA or a normal guy who did a digital marketing course as well, he would still need a lot of time to prove himself.
Yeah.
Correct. So you would have to understand the business.
He won't be trusted straight up. None of the company will trust the fresher to pay XYZ because he's doing XYZ. But whereas the developer, if he works on a code for 1 week, some bugs he can give you, deliver a decent product.
And I'll actually give you a real example what happens. So a fresher joins any company, and this happened with me also. The first day itself, you're given a small piece of the code or a bug that exists, right? And you can fix it same day. The dopamine you get from being valuable on the same day that you join.
Gratification is fast.
Gratification is fast, and it also gives you confidence that, hey, because the first day you're joining, you're like,
can
I do it? Can I not do it? Right? How difficult would it be? And getting that confidence very quickly, that is what you need as a career professional, right? Absolutely. That I see it through.
But does all engineers make that crazy?
No. Why not?
Multiple reasons. As an engineer, it's very easy to peak early. A lot of people assume that now that I have peaked, there is no other peak.
Is peaking like learning 3 frameworks?
Yeah.
And getting good at them?
Yeah, so the typical Dunning-Kruger effect. So Dunning-Kruger effect basically says that once you have acquired significant amount of skills, what will happen is you will feel that you know it all. And you start from here, you go up here very quickly. And you're very happy, you're very jolly that, okay, I have done very good and all of those stuff. And the more you dig or more you learn, then you realize that you know nothing. Then you come downhill, right? And then you reach this place which is called valley of death. This is where most people die, right? But the idea is to keep going.
What do you mean by die?
In terms of, if you're looking in terms of career, if you're looking in terms of startup,
Okay, they get stagnated.
yeah, you stagnate or
Absolutely.
yeah, you get obsolete, right? The idea is to keep going from here, and that's where you see the actual magic happen. So that's what Dunning-Kruger effect is. With engineers, you see that they hit this peak very early, and once you hit this place, you start to think that I'll stay here forever. And now that I know the skill, I'm valuable to everybody, and I know all that needs to be known. That's when they stagnate, right? Because the other engineers now, what they're doing is they're learning new things, they're doing more stuff. For example, the more projects you build, because in every career what happens is you don't only learn what will work, you also learn what will not work, right? And the higher up you go in any career, the experience of what will not work, because an engineer will come say, why don't we do it like this, and you can immediately say it will not work because of so and so and so, right? And deep down you know the pain that I am not smart, I have failed at this, and I can tell you it will not work.
Yeah.
Right. So that is where it comes from.
Could you walk us through your career path, your role, salary, year, and company?
First year of college, many startups that were in Manipal, I started building websites for them. Used to be, which was close to 3.5-4 lakhs
a year.
Made that money right after college. Went on to build a product. It was a B2C consumer product. We were too smart to think that we can just bootstrap this consumer company with just what we had made, and burnt all that money, about 15-20 lakhs.
Business savings.
Yeah, I was the
business
only one
reserves.
running that business. So
Nice.
whatever money that was there.
So no funding, you burnt your own money.
Yeah, I was still 21. I said, fine, you still need to go out and learn more. That's when I joined File, which was the first company. Joined as a member of technical staff at 8.5-9 lakhs. This was 2017 or 2018. Then moved on to Belong, where I was the growth engineer. 2019, about 18 lakhs per year. But I quit shortly after that to start my own agency. This was 2020. The agency was for building tech products for other companies. Personally, I would say 42, 44 roughly. Then I kept running the agency until 2023. So the agency was running for a long while on autopilot, but now I'm building the product. Now I'm burning more.
How much are you burning per month?
Roughly 2.5-3 lakhs.
So you're losing 30 lakhs a year.
36,
Beautiful.
40 lakhs.
Morning I used to go to college, then afternoons was working with my uncle's business, iron business. I was getting 15k a month, and this was 15-16. I was also doing my BCom at that time, like normal graduation. And nights I used to be a DJ, DJing plus a business club, somewhere around 30-35, because I was getting good shows.
30-35 lakhs per year.
Per year, yeah.
2016.
2015-2016.
Okay.
Planned to do my MBA, 2 years complete my education, worked with Colgate for some time in 2019, yeah. And roughly I was making 6.25, but year to year, I realized I'm not a salesperson. Found out few members, like my old roommates, when I was in the Colgate days, he was starting off with an agency, and I joined that agency. I was getting 35k a month. Slowly, when we started getting more clients, and I was the person who got more clients to him, then we did a 30-70 partnership. Roughly, I was making around 1.5 a month. Then I joined the startup world, entered the startup world. 21 was this. Roughly, I was making around 8 to 10 L a year. And then I moved to Nes leading pet care brand called Heads Up for Games. So roughly 15 L I was taking out from there. And then I moved on to Dubai. That's where I hit my first 40 L. Because of some family reasons, I had to quit Dubai, move back to India. Back to Bangalore now and doing some consulting job here. Roughly making the same 40L.
I came to Bangalore in 2016, worked with Your Story, making about 15,000 rupees a month. Started up with some really cool people, paid myself zero for the first few months, eventually started taking 26,000. 2018, I was around the same, but then I took a break from the company, went out on my own, made some consulting money, got back to the same team, built out the performance marketing agency business for them. I ended my personal financial year at around 40 lakhs, 19. 2020, we raised some capital for an education company called Avalon Meta, who was taking about 1.5 lakhs a month from the company. 18 lakhs per annum was 2020. 2021 was the same, 2022 was the same, 2023 was the same. Sold the company to an academy, started making zero. Then started consulting with a few companies. I make around about 50 lakhs today.
I started my career in 2017 as a copywriter at Denso Web Chutney. I used to make 25,000 rupees.
I quit in about a year and went back to the same company in business development and made about 40,000 a month there, 2019 to 2020. In 2020, I came down to zero and then I started freelancing for this client in Canada where I made $5,000 a month. And on the side, I also ran my startup, which was my main gig, which didn't pay me. Then I moved to a brand called Shifu, where I was a global marketing manager and I made about 18 lakhs a year. And then from there in 2022, I moved to Homelane. I am a senior brand manager there. I make about 20 to 25 lakhs.
How do you typically define career win outside of money? So for example, let's say every year the money keeps increasing 10%, 20%, even 50%, but you don't feel like you're growing in your career. Now, how you feel like you're not growing in your career can be your own parameter. You don't feel the urge to wake up every day and do the same job, even though you're being paid a lot, or could be whatever you define it by.
Let's look at it from a zoomed out perspective. As a marketer who's doing a job, you're actually a service provider who has full-time engagement with clients. आप एक client के साथ 1 साल रह जाते हो, 2 साल रह जाते हो, 10 साल रह जाते हो और आपको promotions मिलते रहते हैं. Now, how do you become more valuable is how I would determine career growth. You can become more valuable year on year. I mean, you get paid year on year more because the company wants to keep you, but that may not increase your universal value, which I understand is the question. You're a service provider. You want to become more valuable. You can upskill on the side. Sure, you have a job as a performance marketer. What's stopping you from learning about creative on the side, brand or B2B or field marketing? So how do you gather organic content, so many other skills? That is one. Second is, how do you, because you're a service provider and you need clients, and the more clients you get, the higher you can price yourself because you have so many options and you want your dream clients. How do you create this sort of demand for yourself? By meeting more people who can potentially hire you someday, having a strong network, because that's also how you become more valuable. And I think if you become more valuable, you will feel like you grow in your career. So have distribution for yourself by meeting more people, networking keh lo, content banana keh lo, kuch bhi keh lo. Go a little wide as well. Do you do fractional engagements? Do you do consulting on the side? Do you freelance and help out your friend with their startup? How do you go breadth and how do you build distribution for yourself? I think these are the two things you can do to become more valuable.
It's a very subjective thing when the win becomes outside of money because it's not quantifiable.
Yeah.
To me, it's valuable that I would feel like I won if I had more freedom.
Correct.
Like I would feel like I'm winning at my career if I was making X amount of money and I also had complete control of my life. I had complete control of my working hours, or I had the freedom to define how I worked, who I worked with. For me, it's also important that value can also be externally defined. Someone can say Manvi's work is valuable or not, but am I enjoying the work I do or not? And lastly, how many people look up to me at work? It's important to look up to me as someone to trust to have a brainstorm session, to someone to trust to have a business discussion. It's also important that I have the choice besides money to be surrounded by the right kind of people and work with the right kind of people. If I had to for the sake of money, I'm happy to take a lower paycheck if it means that I can be with the right kind of people.
Correct.
Because in the long term, that is what will contribute to my career growth versus anything else.
A lot of people may argue saying that, hey, but if you're willing to take lesser pay, why not work harder and get more pay and all of those? But what you don't understand is sometimes you need that creative space. It's a long journey, right? Probably if you're healthy, you will work for 30, 35 years. So after 10 years, if you want to prioritize yourself, take the time for your creative space for a year and a half, you don't know what you will come up with. You might start a brand new company, or you might pivot to a different career that is feels more rewarding and all of those stuff. But yeah, I think growth for me personally, when I think about it, it also means freedom. Right?
Yeah.
Like when I'm trying to grow and for freedom, I put it on a scale of 3 things, right? That who I work with, what I'm working on, and where do I live. These 3 things are very, very important to me. And I think I don't want to work with people I don't enjoy working with. Isliye I quit my job. So now I try to surround myself with people. If I enjoy working with you, I'll find something to do with you. Right? Second is what I work on. Most people don't realize that hard work is not the answer. You can work hard work all your life, you will not make it. The game is rigged in a way, you can spot 100-hour workers around you who will never make it. So you have to understand what the game is. And the third is where you live. Because, believe it or not, I used to refute this a lot, that where you live doesn't matter, internet and all of those stuff. No. Go to SF, you will see the vibe of that place. every coffee shop that you go to, you'll meet a VC, you'll meet a potential founder. They have a running joke in SF that if you see a guy in a hoodie sitting in a coffee shop, don't mock him. He could be the next Mark Zuckerberg. The joke is still true, right? So everyone says that. So I think, these three things matter.
I think this is a very personal question. It must be different for everyone.
What? Career wins.
Career wins. Like apart from money, what keeps you motivated to work? What are you working on? Or do you feel relevant? I think for me, it for anyone, I think it's the mindset he or she comes from. If he or she aspires to build something or another, I feel even if money gets small, because I have taken big cuts in my career. And my idea was that if you want to really learn a skill that would deploy later in your career, you have to pay the price. Maybe about spending time and taking less paycheck, working more hours. And I think that's the recipe. So that will keep you driven for a long period of time without even paycheck. And you know how to survive at small paychecks and stuff like that. But that mindset should be in the day one that, hey man, I need to do the XYZ so I can learn the skill and deploy it sometime later in my career.
That's a wrap.